Well, this is Doug. I really, really do appreciate you meeting with me today. I want to, like I said, we're going to go over some things. I got lots of questions to ask you. So tell me from the beginning, I want to know your expectations when you started compared to what you're seeing now. Are they different?
For me, the key to making the investment was the fact that I was going to have good support and be able to tap into that essentially anytime I needed. So from that standpoint, it just completely met expectations. You, Nick, have been extremely supportive, and every time I've called or every time I've texted, I always get a response back, and that has been just consistent. So yeah, from that standpoint, it's been perfect. Of course, I've had a break in my momentum because some life issues happened while I was in Washington, where I got the business started, and so it just completely kind of crippled my motivation and my momentum. So I had to relocate, and we came all the way from Washington over to North Carolina. But I, on my own, while my wife and daughter were in Washington still, I was essentially a bachelor for a year. But I started the business back up on my own while I was working full time, and lo and behold, I succeeded in closing the deal in a relatively short period of time.
And we've been through a lot together and getting you transitioned over and understanding different markets and different things to do. And that's been fun all in itself. Do you think you've been given the tools that you've needed? And I've asked you the same question twice, but with a little different spin. Do you think you've gotten the tools that you've needed?
Yes. Yeah. I have been given the tools I needed. I'm very happy with the process and with the mentoring. And every time I've asked for support, I've got it. The training materials I've been able to go back to and pull information that, to remind myself of what I needed to do in a section, that kind of thing. And I have no qualms. It's been great. Yeah.
So do you think that there would be anything through all of this that you could help me improve on, whether it be the training, maybe more one-on-one time? Do you think, is there anything that off the top of your head you wish you'd have gotten a little bit more of?
But there were times where I thought to myself, Nick, why didn't you just tell me that? Why didn't you just tell me that out of the gates? But I think it wasn't a matter of you trying to hide anything. It was a matter of understanding what I needed. Yes. That's all. And so maybe I wasn't asking the question right. I don't put any blame on you, but I was kind of a couple times like, oh man, if you just told me that sooner, I could have already gone this direction and handled something quicker. But and part of me was thinking that's probably part of the design, because you have to do it. You've got to learn it, and you can't just have somebody hand it to you with every little thing. You got to work through it so that you know what to do. So, looking back, I've learned what I needed to learn, and so now I can't really think of anything that I would say you should have done different or could do better.
So my goal with the training is to give you foundational pieces. I don't know if you've heard me say it, but essentially you're building the machine.
Yes.
And putting those pieces together. And my job is to teach you how to oil it, where to oil it, what pieces to change, what pieces to be watching and paying attention to. And hey, by the way, this piece may get hot if you're running. So my goal is to teach you the experience as we go. Right. I get oftentimes they're like, I can't believe you haven't told me that. In fact, I just had it not an hour ago. Man, I wish you'd have told me that before. Well, the experience and the situational teaching is where it's all about. It's that coaching part is what it's all about.
Yeah.
Because my goal is to keep you out of trouble, but also to teach you how to tweak it enough to where you can make the most amount of money and protect you, the seller, the buyer, all at once. Very, very important. Well, I tell you, we've been working together long enough. I have a hard time even thinking of questions. I know the leads are important to me. We as a company spend a lot of money on the leads and the lead system. How important to you are our leads?
Oh, I can't think of much that's more important than the leads, besides the support and the education piece, right? The leads are gold, most important.
Most important part of it. I work hard on it, let alone tech and the company spending the money and making sure the servers are up and all of that stuff. How smooth was your first deal? How easy did it go for you?
So I did a double close. I think it was relatively easy, given all the moving parts that surprised me a little bit with the deal, and all the little things that kind of came up because all of a sudden I was in the language with an investor who had done a lot of this, and with attorneys who were, who knew everything, and a seller not educated in it, but was demanding in a lot of ways. And I didn't have a lot of the answers. So there was a lot of, I had to, kind of go back and forth. And so just from a learning standpoint, getting through that, it wasn't easy, but it was great. It was, I really had a lot of fun with it. But at the same time, it wasn't overly difficult either. I mean, it wasn't hard. I mean, but now just breaking through the ice, done that once, the next one will be much, much easier if it's anything like this one was. And I know there's variation out there, but now I've got an attorney, I've got other investors I talk to, and I'm learning more and more every day. So it's becoming that much more exhilarating. It's just a lot of fun.
And those buyers, how important are those relationships? I know that I hammer on that all the time, and I know we've talked about it numerous times. How important are those relationships?
Well, again, they're the key. I mean, they're a key. You don't have a buyer, what are you going to do, right? So for me, I think, just getting somebody who says, yeah, I'll work with you. So if you bring me these kinds of properties, or you're in this area, yeah, I'll buy those. And hey, I'll go look at a property with you, if you need to, or whatever. Building those relationships with, I guess, kind of foundational buyers is awesome. But just then having a portfolio of them would be that much better. I found it hasn't been very hard to find them, honestly, for me. I found them to come about pretty easily. There's a lot of people out there that are willing to work with you. They need the service that I provide, and they tell me that. So some of them are pretty happy to work with wholesalers.
Do they say anything about working with real estate agents? Have you heard them say anything about it?
Well, I have one that I talk with regularly whose wife is a real estate agent, so he sort of has a setup around that. The 5 or 6 others that I ping off of now and then, no, I haven't.
Okay. Yeah, I get a lot of, I don't like working with real estate agents at all. So.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've been going through the list as you're talking of the questions I want to ask you, and you pretty much hit them as we go through. So I'm just skimming through them. Last couple, do you think anybody could do this?
Yeah, anybody can do it if they put their mind to it. Yeah, I've done enough things where I wanted to make a ton of money, and then when it ended up being more involved or more work than I wanted to or had time to put forth, I'd kind of steer away from it. But I always knew that I have this great entrepreneurial streak in me that never stops. So this time with this one, and it's not that I've done a million of them, but I run some online stores and did a few entrepreneurial things. But with this one, I was determined I need to make sure I learn it A to Z, and that I, make a certain amount of, make my money back, and then I can see if I like it or not, or, whatever. And then make a decision around that, as to whether I'm going to continue with it or not. It's a matter of putting your mind to it and and sticking with it, devoting time to it, to learn it. Anybody can do it. It's just you've got to do it. You can't say I signed up for it, I've got a coach, and I put it on the shelf. And gee, it didn't give me any money. And I've been there. I thought I bought a jukebox, gambling machine. What are those called? The slot machine. I thought I bought a slot machine, but it didn't work. And so you got to put the time into it. That's all.
So I want to shift gears. I want to talk about your goals. And really what I want you to do right now is essentially you're talking to yourself about 6 months down the road. And I want you to tell me your short-term, mid-term, long-term goals. So again, you are talking to you 6 months from now.
6 months from now? Well, 6 months from now, I'm making probably starting to see a $6,000 a month income. That is my short term, within a year is to be making an average, closing one deal a month. And so by 6 months, I'll have closed a few deals at least. And in terms of midterm goal, 3 to 5 years for me, I'm closing multiple deals per month. I'm making over $200,000 a year, easily, within 3 to 5 years. That's my goal. Okay. And at that point, I'm well networked, probably known. I have a reputation. I've got a lot of associates that I'm working with in the industry. People know who I am, and I've built a lot more outlets. And I'm looked at as reliable and credible, and from that point, I'm able to field opportunities from multiple different sources in the 3 to 5 year period. That's what I expect to see in the long term. After 5 years, 7 years, and to 10 years, my plan is to just be doing running a full-time real estate investment company.
Okay, I'm trying to pull a little bit more out of you because you've got great goals sitting there, but I haven't seen a smile. I haven't seen any excitement. So I'm trying to figure out what lights a fire under your butt, so to speak. So, really, where do you want to go? What is it that absolutely lights your fire? And I'll tell you, Doug, for me, it may be that woman sitting next to you that puts you there, and why. Mm-hmm. I'm really trying to figure out in your own mind, in your own heart, what is that fire? What's that passion? And where truly do you want to hit?
Yeah. Well, to be completely my own boss and have my own company. Okay. That's absolutely. And to be able to make the choices that I want to make, that nobody else makes for me. Right. So really it's financial freedom.
Right.
Perfect. Yeah.